I remember back in the day as a junior researcher, I used to be sent out to do vox pops on the street, which would be 5-10 minute
Yeah.
qualitative interviews, and it sounds like that this is something that's been done en masse, but in a focused way. And I believe that you can also share stimulus with people, and there isn't a
Look,
restriction to the sorts of questions that you can ask people either.
let's get in.
Presumably in the future, um, if not already, you can also get visual and video responses.
Quantitatively, qualitatively, ethnographically, recruitment. Nick, this has implications for recruitment, future recruitment of qual. It has implications for everything. This is what we're trying to get across, right? So let's deal with the methodological and possibilities and applications in a separate thing. What we want to do at this point, Nick, I think, is alert ourselves and everyone. And look, we're alerted because we've been doing it, right? And kind of started looking into it a few years ago when I kind of got an inkling that this type of platform was even available, even in its infancy, because, we're always on the lookout for different ways to get information from people. And having gone through the lockdowns and digitized, which has basically digitized the qualitative business. I mean, the quant business was already digitized, right? The qual business has now become digitized. It's you're constantly then looking, okay, what's going to happen next? What's the next result here? And we think this is basically the next result. But Nick, before we go into methodology, I think this is a good time to, because we've talked about the history of it, or let's talk about it as the trajectory, right? What is the technological trajectory of market research? So I think this is a good time to talk about, before we move to ChatGPT, is to talk about where we think, and let's blue sky this, Nick. We're researchers, right? Let's blue sky it and say, right, where could this go? How could this end up looking? How could these research avatars end up out there? Do you know what I mean? And this is what we've discussed, and this is what our feeling is. Our feeling is that the AI is going to get to a level of sophistication that the avatars will be able to conduct more and more sophisticated probing and conversations. And not only that, be able to, and already can, it's just our connectivity isn't good enough to do this yet with respondents, but not just type the words and receive typed responses, but it will speak to the respondent. It will introduce itself to the respondent. It will say, hello, I am Nick, right? My name is Nick. I'm a real researcher. This is my avatar. I'd like to speak with you about X. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. You're going to give me some answers. I'm going to, then ask you some more questions, and it's going to be a short conversation about this topic. So literally, that's exactly what it's doing right now, but in a written form. It's introducing itself. It's asking an open-ended question. It's receiving an answers. It's picking up on certain things to probe on. The conversation ends a minute later, and it moves on to the next question. This is going to advance to the point where it's spoken, and it's going to advance to the point where more and more complex conversations are going to become available, and the analysis power is going to advance to the point where it's going to be able to make even more sense faster of all the information that is spewed back through conversations back to the computer. It's got to get to the point, Nick, and I think we're going to show some people an example of this in a later episode. It's got to the point where you can, even an open-ended question, you can quantify it to the extent of providing a quantitative answer with its qualitative description as to why, without actually asking a quantitative question at all. So in the future, Nick, is it going to be possible that we could conduct virtually all research? We program these avatars to go out there, and we recruit 1,000 respondents. We program these avatars to go out there and have these conversations, ask a few metric questions, and then bring us back the information and make sense of it for us so that we can decide what we use and what the implications are.